Based off their poison typing, you'd assume that the Bulbasaur line had a pretty decent chance of taking me out, even with just the Bulbasaur. But nowhere in their dex entries does it mention anything about poison, which makes no sense, but I'm not going to argue with that, because I get a better advantage in a fight when there's no poison involved. So I'm going to say Bulbasaur. I kill a Bulbasaur, pretty easy, it's small enough, no poison, just sits around in the sun all day, pretty easy. Ivysaur, I think I still have the advantage, but I mean it's a bit bigger, so it's obviously going to be a bit harder. But Venusaur and Mega Venusaur, they are taller than most humans, or they're taller than most average-sized humans, so I think they have the advantage here, definitely. But I say I've got a decent, I've got a chance. I have a small chance, like a 5% chance. I think I'd have to wail on them, but yeah, that's where I'd put them, and I'll probably make a table about this in the future. Much like with Bulbasaur and Ivysaur and Venusaur, Charmander's dex entries don't mention its ability to shoot fire out of its face, so funnily enough, I have the advantage over Charmander to the point where I think I would straight up win. There's not really anything he can do against me, according to the dex, other than die when his tail flame goes out. He's also only 2 foot tall, so I reckon I got that in the bag. Charmeleon and Charizard, they're much different. They're far more brutal and can incinerate things with their mouth, and also just are really scary good with their claws as well. So I think I'd lose to Charmeleon and Charizard. I'm also going to include their Megas here. I'd lose to those as well, but I'd lose to all of those. But Charmander, I'd get a Charmander easy. Charmander's dead. The rest of them kill me though. The Squirtle line is very stingy on details about how powerful their water is, or their foam is, up until about Blastoise, so I had to sort of guess. But given the fact that they have a really naturally high defense due to having a shell, I'd say that I have the advantage over Squirtle, but he's still got more of a chance than the other two starters. Wartortle, again, it only talks about how its tail is a sign of longevity and not really about how powerful it is, so it's a bit stronger, it's a bit bigger, so I'd say that this is a fair fight, you know? I'd have to do decent damage, he'd have to do decent damage, it's a fair fight in my opinion. Blastoise and Mega Blastoise talk about how they can shoot through concrete and how they're as powerful as tanks and can shoot through steel as well. So yeah, that's a loss for me. Caterpie, Metapod and Butterfree are cute little bug dudes, you know? I mean, they're not really threatening, and this extends into their entries for the most part. Caterpie, it talks about how Caterpie is easy pickings for small birds, so I think Caterpie is a done deal. I think I'd beat up a Caterpie pretty easily. One stomp's all I need, really. Metapod. Here's where I thought I might have a bit of difficulty, but it does talk about how its shell is hard as an iron slab. However, it does also say if you push it over, all of its insides will spill out. So it might take a while, but I think I could do a Metapod just as easily as a Caterpie, just a bit longer. Butterfree has poisonous scales, so as much as I would beat up a Butterfree easily, if I get caught by the poison, it is going to really suck. So I'm going to call this one a fair fight, actually. Yeah, didn't expect that to happen. The Weedle evolutionary line, unlike the Caterpie line, is far more dangerous. Weedle and Kakuna both have the ability to project a toxic barb off their body. Not off the body, but it comes out of them. And if you touch it, you are in danger. So I wouldn't say this is an outright win for me. Fair enough, if I get a good hit on Weedle, it's done. And Kakuna, so long as I know where the pointer comes out, I can sort of do him in. But Beedrill, Mega Beedrill as well, I don't feel like I fare nearly as good against them, purely for the fact that they are bees, well they're actually wasps, which are already scary in the real world, but this one's 3 feet tall and has many stingers and is really fast and can fly still, and is poisonous, like proper poisonous, not just painful. So I'd say Beedrill, Mega Beedrill, loss for me. The other two, I have the advantage. I thought that my chances against the Pidgey line would be much better than they currently seem to be, but I didn't realise any of their dex entries being what they were. So Pidgey, I have the advantage over a Pidgey, definitely. It's a foot tall, it weighs about 1 kilogram. It's got sharp claws, yeah, but unless it fights me like Levi fights a Titan, it's a done deal. But I have the advantage, not an instant kill. Pidgeotto, very territorial, very dangerous as well, is very aggressive. So I'm going to say that Pidgeotto has the advantage over me. It's in his favour. Pidgeot and Mega Pidgeot, like with most fully evolved forms, they can fly at Mach 2 speeds and would absolutely decimate me. It'd be like fighting a bigger eagle. So yeah, I lose to those two. Rattata and Raticate are, quite obviously, rats, but they are big rats, big teeth. I was reading through their entries, and they do talk about the teeth, obviously, and how they have strong bites, but not to the point where I feel like I would lose to a Rattata. I feel like I have the advantage, because it is still quite small. I've got quite a big strength advantage, but the teeth will hurt. And have you ever tried picking up a small animal? They skitter like crazy. So I'd say I have the advantage over a Rattata, but it's still got the chance. And Raticate, I'm just going to say I lose outright to a Raticate. It is a ginormous rat that can chew through concrete. Now I know bones are strong and all, but concrete bones? No. So I think the rat wins. Rattata, I have the advantage. Raticate, I just lose. It kills me. I die. Spearow and Fearow are quite like Pidgey, in the way that they are just birds, so they have the advantage. Well, they don't have the advantage, they have a advantage, due to being able to fly. However, Spearow apparently can't fly very well, and it doesn't talk about how, sharp its claws are, about how angry it gets, and it does talk about that, but just not in the way that I thought it did. So I have the advantage over a Spearow because it's a small bird, but it still has its own chances. And Fearow, it doesn't talk about how fast it can fly, or about how incredibly dangerous it can be. It just talks about how good it is at hunting prey, and about how good it is at flying. So I'd say a Fearow has the advantage over me, but my chances aren't zero. They're just really small. Ekans and Arbok are snakes. Poisonous snakes specifically, and that makes them far, far more dangerous than I have any reason to defend against. But Ekans has a bit of a weird entry that says when it's first born, which I assume works as if when it's a newborn, it does not have any poison, which makes its bite painful but harmless. So I think for Ekans, I'm gonna say I have the advantage. It's a snake still, and it's gonna suck, but I have the advantage because all it'll take one swift stomp, but it will still bite me and it will still suck and it will still have, the chances of a snake. Arbok, I ain't even gonna pretend I got a chance. It can crush steel oil drums by wrapping around it. It's bone-crunchingly painful, and it's very poisonous and will kill me very easily. So yeah, Arbok, I just lose against an Arbok. Pichu is more likely to shock itself and start crying than it is to kill me, so right off the bat, I'm giving myself this one. I kill a Pichu easy, all up to one kick, that's all I need. And then we move up to the other two, which my chances immediately drop to almost zero. I think even a Pikachu will kill me. Straight up just kill me. I don't have an advantage. Or it doesn't have an advantage either. It just kills me. It wins. Because one Emerald Dex entry for Pikachu says that by releasing its energy, it can do an equivalent to a Lightning Bolt strike. You don't live those normally. It's quite unlikely. So Pikachu beats me, and Raichu is out here killing elephants. Raichu wins easy. It's not even a question. So Pichu I kill, the other two kill me. I'm giving myself this one. Don't argue. Sandshrew and Sandslash may not be the most competitive Pokemon, but in the real world, they would be dangerous. They've both got extremely tough hides, and they both have sharp claws. Right off the bat, I think Sandshrew is a fair fight, because while I think it could definitely take me out, and it has the defenses to keep me going, I think I could get it. Eventually, it has a soft stomach, and if it doesn't eventually expose itself, it can't throw off attacks. So, Sandshrew, that's a draw, I'd say. Sandslash, I die. It's a 3-foot tall porcupine with spikes. I die. But yeah, I get killed by a Sandslash. It's a fair fight against a Sandshrew. The Nidoran female line is weird, and I'm gonna need you to trust me on this. Nidoran female, fair fight. It's not a particularly defensive or offensive, and it's pretty small. I can take it out easy, but it's apparently highly lethal with poison. So I'm going to say that it has a chance. So it's a fair fight. Nidorina. Apparently still quite docile because it is trying to look after its children more than anything, and that makes it more defensive. But it does still have claws, it is still a bigger Nidoran female, so I'm going to say that they have the advantage for sure. And Nidoqueen, I need you to trust me on this. Nidoqueen has the advantage, but they don't outright win. They've got tough scales, really tough scales. They've got sharp claws. They're still pretty docile though, and they are still not that big. So they have the advantage, definitely. My chances are small, but I'd say my chances are still there. You gotta trust me on this. The Nidoran male line is in, obviously, quite a similar situation to the Nidoran female line. Nidoran male is small, pretty defenseless, but it's still got poison, pretty dangerous poison at that, so again, a fair fight for them. Nidorino is bigger, a lot more aggressive, but I think it's just small enough and it's not tough enough that they have the advantage, definitely, but I've still got a chance. Nidoking? I'm gonna cut my losses at Nidoking. I know it's not much taller than Nidoqueen, but it is far more aggressive and far more dangerous. Nidoking wins outright. I get that in the games and in the anime, these are bulky Pokemon with some devastating attacks. But according to the Pokédex, they might as well be limbless. They are timid, they hide away instead of being seen, they are just, nothing is said about their offense, their defense, not even their ability to escape. They can just skip and fly, sort of. I think I have to say that I win both of these outright. I mean, it just talks about how timid they are and how rare they are and how they live on the moon. So, yeah, I win both of these. Apparently, pretty easily as well. Vulpix and Ninetales are fire type, so they're scary right off the bat. Vulpix, I thought maybe I'd have a chance. Small fox creature. Maybe it doesn't mention its ability to control fire. It does. It, like in Gen 3 I think it mentions it. So Vulpix, if it catches me on fire, I'm probably likely to lose, but I can maybe dodge it. Maybe. I'll give myself benefit of the doubt. And I shouldn't take too many hits to get a Vulpix down. So I'd say fair fight, me and Vulpix. Ninetales, it tells about it laying 1,000-year curses, it controlling fire, it hypnotizing people and controlling their minds. So yeah, I think it's fair to say Ninetales beats me in a fight pretty easily. Both Jigglypuff and Wigglytuff are not very threatening Pokemon, I'll be honest. But Jigglypuff has one ace up its sleeve in that if you hear it singing, you're very, very, very likely to fall asleep. And I think I have a counter for that. I will simply cover my ears and run at it and then boot it in the face. I think there is no way a Jigglypuff can kill me, even if it does get me to sleep, I reckon. I know it's capable of it, but not really. So I'm going to say I kill a Jigglypuff. Wigglytuff, however, I'm going to call it a fair fight, because it mentions it being able to use Body Slam. It also mentions it inflating up to potentially 20 times its own size, and considering it's about 3 feet tall, that's 60 feet. I don't want to get Body Slammed by that, but I'll call it a fair fight because it's soft and squishy. Sounds about right. At first glance, I thought Zubat and Golbat were both going to be problems. I mean, they both got sharp teeth, they both fly, they're bats, but upon reading the Dex entries, Zubat does not stand a chance. It literally only talks about how it has no eyes and how it uses ultrasonic sound waves to map its area, and how also the sun burns it incredibly bad. It doesn't talk about how well it can fly or how dangerous it is, nothing like that. So Zubat, I kill Zubat easy. Golbat, on the other hand, is a 5-foot bat whose mostly mouth with fangs and can drain 10 ounces of blood in one gulp and will not let go. I'm pretty sure I lose to a Golbat, but that's just me. Let me know what you think in the comments. Oddish's Pokédex entries say nothing about poison, so already that's an instant win for me. I beat an Oddish, just talks about how it wanders around at night time. That's easy, I can deal with that. Gloom, I'm gonna say I have the advantage, but I'm not gonna say I win outright, because apparently it smells like the worst thing you can imagine, times like 1,000, and apparently it can cause fainting and paralysis, so I'm gonna say I have the advantage if I hold my breath and just beat this shit out of it. Vileplume. I'm gonna say I lose to a Vileplume, straight up. I mean, I knew it was toxic, but I didn't think it was, you know, the breathe in and die kind of toxic, so it's not going as well as I thought it would. So Oddish, I kill an Oddish. Gloom, I have the advantage, and Vileplume, I just lose to. I breathe in one thing, I die. It's simple as that. Thought maybe Paras would have a chance because of the whole mushroom spore zombie thing, but apparently that just makes it unable to grow properly because it steals all the nutrients. So Paras, it's a foot tall bug. It's a pretty easy win for me, I'd say. Parasect, however, just had to go and scatter poisonous spores, didn't it? It's not even poison type. This goddamn game making everything poisonous. But other than the big claws it's got, the poison's all it's really got going for it. And if I knock the mushroom off, the host stops moving. So really, I just gotta hope it doesn't poison me, and I gotta go kick its mushroom off. And it's also not that big still. So Parasect, I'd say it's a fair fight, because poison is a bad thing. But other than that, it's not much of a threat. So I'd say it's a fair fight. Venonat is not as much of a threat as I thought it was going to be. I know it's a base form, so it's not really a threat anyway because it's small, but it doesn't talk about its poison very much. It just says it has a coat of poison oozing out of its body, which is a problem. But you know what? It's a bug. It's a small little bug. It doesn't do much. It's barely even got teeth. I beat a Venonat easy peasy. Alright? I'm giving this one to myself. And I thought, finally, I'll beat a fully evolved poison type. And then Venomoth had to come in and ruin it. Apparently, I stand no chance pretty much. It scatters scales every time it flaps its wings, and they are poisonous. And it mentions it paralysing you to not being able to stand. So, I don't see a way I can beat a Venomoth. It wins easy. This goddamn poison types. Here we are with another evolution line where the base form is so simple and easy to defeat, and then the fully evolved form becomes a nigh unstoppable killing machine. Diglett is so easy. All it does is burrow and move underground, but it doesn't say anything about how good it is at fighting or anything. It just says it eats vegetables. Diglett, easy win. Dugtrio, it can go 60 miles down, and it can go 60 miles an hour, and it is also apparently very, very tough. Like, its skin is tough. So, a Diglett, I beat a Diglett. Dugtrio, I lose to a Dugtrio. This game is not giving me a break with these sudden jumps in difficulty, and I do not appreciate it. Dugtrio whoops my ass. Now, I would never hurt a cat in real life, but in this scenario, oh, I would decimate a Meowth. It only talks about how it loves coins. It loves shiny things. It has claws, but it kind of just uses them to sneak around. It's quite easy for me. However, I thought Persian would be a big problem, but I'm going to say that it has the advantage, but it's not an outright win, because let me tell you something. Whoever decided that it would be the height of a lion, but weigh 100 kilograms less, that thing, I could make it fly. Like, actually, I could throw it very far. So, it has the advantage. It's very mean, it's very aggressive, it's got sharp claws, it's a big cat. But I don't say it outright wins, because somebody made it, you know, too light. Now, I thought Golduck and Psyduck would be pretty easy. I knew they had psychic powers, but I didn't know if the Pokédex would mention them. I knew that, Psyduck, it talks about headaches all the time, and it does. It talks about its headaches a lot, but it also says it emits a mysterious power. Now, since I'm only using the Pokédex, I can't say whether that's a good thing or a bad thing, but I think for now, I'd say I have the advantage, but Psyduck with its psychic powers, it might be a bit of trouble, maybe. Golduck, I'm gonna say that it has the advantage. I was gonna say it's a fair fight, and then I realized it's like 3 inches shorter than me, so I think it having claws is a big bonus for it. But it's apparently really fast at swimming. and it's big, it's scary, it's got claws, and it has psychic powers. So I'd say it has the advantage, but it doesn't outright win. I think we all know where this is going. Mankey is dangerous, so is Primeape. Literally almost every single Pokédex entry talks about how unbelievably furious they are every second of their life. So Mankey, I'm only going to say that it's a fair fight because it is half a meter tall and it weighs 30 kilograms. So would I outright win? Absolutely not. But I think it's fair because I have a big size advantage, right? I think that's fair. Also, it's got no claws. If it had claws, I think I'd probably lose. Primeape. I lose to a Primeape. It's triple the height of a Mankey, pretty much. And to boot, it apparently will chase you until the end of the world if it is angry at you. So Primeape is a loss. We all knew this. We all saw this coming. There's no surprise here. So I didn't have particularly high hopes for the Growlithe line, but thankfully for me, the Pokédex has saved me a bit here, because Growlithe, it doesn't mention anything about fire, which is perfect, because that gives me a chance already. It is still a big dog, and it talks about how it is fearless in the face of even bigger opponents, so it does bark and bite. I'd say I have the advantage here, because again, it is just a dog, really, but it is still more aggressive than the other things we've seen so far. Arcanine. Arcanine does not mention it biting or its fire, it just talks about how goddamn awesome it is. And I will agree, it is awesome. I didn't think it was taller than me, but it is. So really it'd be like fighting a bear, and I think I'd lose that. And also, if the Pokédex is to be taken 100% seriously, it can run at about 260 miles an hour. So yeah, I lose to an Arcanine, flat out. When it comes to the Poliwag line, I've not got any arguments with this. It makes sense. Poliwag is an instant win, pretty much. I mean, it's got very thin skin, and I know that it deflects fangs and stuff, but it is still just a Poliwag, right? Not really much of a threat. So I beat a Poliwag. Poliwhirl, much bigger. It's got hands to fight back now, but it doesn't talk about how it's good at fighting. It's sort of just like a Drowzee. You know, it makes you drowsy. It's a hypnosis-inducing Pokemon, so I think a Poliwhirl is a fair fight. It could put me to sleep and probably take me out that way. But other than that, it's just a decently sized Poliwag, really. Poliwrath, I lose to a Poliwrath because of one entry that says it can turn boulders to dust in one square punch. And also the fact that it is 0% body fat and all muscle. So yeah, I lose to a Poliwrath, fair fight against Poliwhirl, and I beat a Poliwag. Very even, and I've got nothing to argue with here. I'm going to go out on a limb and say that I beat Abra straight up, because while it does teleport and that's all it does, so it can't hurt me, you may think that it's no contest, I can't hurt it, but according to Ultra Moon, if I clear my mind I can get close to it, and that's really all I need to just land some hits. So yeah, I'd say I beat an Abra. Kadabra, just like Alakazam, is very psychically strong, you know? I think it's probably just going to win outright. Kadabra and Alakazam, they just win. Their psychic powers are immense. Horribly immense. I don't even think I can get near them. They probably just push me back and rip me apart. So Kadabra and Alakazam beat me outright. Mega Alakazam, yeah, Mega Alakazam destroys me into the ground. So Abra, I win. Kadabra and Alakazam, I just lose. Yeah, so going into this, I knew that Machoke and Machamp would be a huge problem, but I thought I could maybe get a Machop. No, I couldn't. It has the ability to throw 100 adults at once, and since it is only muscle, pretty much, it's incredibly tough. So this thing that is not anywhere near the size of an adult human would beat me in a fight. Straight up, I've got no chance. Machoke, its body is apparently hard as steel, and it can just lift sumo wrestlers with one finger and throw dump trucks and stuff. I lose to Machoke, easy. Machamp, same thing, it moves mountains, it can throw 1,000 punches in 2 seconds. I mean, who made the dex entries for this line? They are just unbeatable. I lose to every single one of them. Machop, Machoke, Machamp. And we're back to the poison types. I thought Bellsprout, it's a little plan. I know it's poisonous, but look how thin he is. I could beat a Bellsprout, right? Wrong. Bellsprout has the advantage. I thought it'd be easy, right? But apparently it is quote unquote blindingly fast, and also it spits acid that can melt iron, and since I'm not made of iron, it would kill me. So it has the advantage. Bellsprout has the advantage. Weeping Bell is apparently able to cut through, flesh with its leaves and spits acid that dissolves pretty much anything. Brilliant. I just lose to Weeping Bell. And Victory Bell, same thing. Its acid melts anything, and it is also really big and could just eat me, to be fair. So I lose to Victory Bell and Weeping Bell, and Bellsprout has the advantage. I hate poison types. Now I know in game Tentacool can sort of just chill on land, it just floats there and does its stuff, but I'm doing this based off Pokedex entries, and according to the Pokedex, once it's on land, it just dries up and dies pretty much. So Tentacool, I am going to say that it's still a fair fight, because it's a poisonous, acid-spitting, annoying thing that has tentacles that, poison you. And it's still quite dangerous. And also apparently it fires beams of light, which I don't know how powerful it is, but I'm just going to assume it's like a regular laser beam and will hurt. So I'm going to say it's a fair fight, but it will dry out. Tentacruel is a Tenta bastard. He has 80 tentacles and he will wrap you in them and they will not let go and they will slowly poison you to death. So yeah, Tentacruel wins because it's unfair. I can't beat that. And it doesn't say anything about it drying up on land either, so yeah. I lose to Tentacruel, fair fight with Tentacool. Okay, these fellas are weird, right? They're weird. Geodude, it is a rock, but it is a small rock. And I think if I just grabbed its arms and swung it into something hard enough, constantly enough, I reckon I'd beat a Geodude, so I'd say I have the advantage over a Geodude. Graveler, I think I just lose to Graveler. As much as I would like to say it has the advantage, it doesn't win outright. It can curl itself into a ball and roll into me, and apparently, with the right momentum, it can exceed 60 miles an hour. So, I think Graveler just wins. Oh, and also it's 105 kilograms, so what am I going to do to a 105 kilogram 3-foot rock? And Golem mentions how it can blow itself up, and it uses that to shoot itself up mountains, and how its body does not even get hurt by dynamite blasts. And since I am not a dynamite man, I can't beat Golem, so Golem and Graveler, they just win outright, and Geodude, I have the advantage. Rapidash, I pretty much knew I was going to lose against Rapidash, but I thought maybe Ponyta, it's shorter, it's a newborn-ish, maybe I'll have a chance, but apparently I only have a chance if it is newborn, like just born, like I have to fight it straight out the egg, because otherwise it has hooves as strong as diamonds, which is already unfair. And it's just a fast runner, and also can leap over the Eiffel Tower, like Pokemon Stadium says that, so yeah. I'm gonna say that unless it's newborn, I lose to Ponyta. And even if it's a newborn, I think it's a fair fight still. Rapidash, I lose to Rapidash because it can run 150 miles an hour in 10 steps. And is a horse. With fire, so, I was never gonna win that. Slowpoke is a funny little fella, and as much as I want to give him a win, or even a chance, he doesn't have one. All its dex entries say it's an idiot, and it's so stupid, it's so lazy. And I think that's a bit harsh, Pokedex. Maybe he's just hiding it, maybe he's bored. But no, he doesn't stand a chance. I kill Slowpoke pretty easily. Slowbro, I'm gonna give it a chance. I'm going to say I have the advantage, but it has a chance, because it is just as stupid apparently, and it doesn't care unless Shellder bites its tail, then it feels a bit of motivation. So that, I'm going to say it has a chance. Mega Slowbro, I'm going to say Mega Slowbro wins. I want to give him this one, because apparently he gets decent power from it, and he has impenetrable defenses. I can't fight impenetrable defenses. So he wins. It's just by proxy, he wins. So I'm going to give him that one. Mega Slowbro wins. Slowbro has a chance, and Slowpoke does not. Now I thought maybe I stood a chance against Magnemite and Magneton. Maybe just a little one, Apparently, no, I don't. They are just iron spheres that shoot electricity and zip around. What do I do against that, I don't know what you're thinking, Poke them in the eye. According to Legends Arceus, it's separate and therefore probably organic. Problem is, if I poke them in the eye, what does that do for me? All of a sudden, I've got an angry metal ball zipping around, shooting off electricity. What do I do against that? Smash me against the floor? No, they will zap me and I will die eventually. So, Magnemite and Magneton is unfortunately a loss, but I saw that coming because they were Steel and Electric type, which is like a double whammy in things I can't deal with, really. Farfetch'd! We all know Farfetch'd. He's like Marmite from Pokemon. You either love him or you hate him. There's no in between. I personally quite like him. I just think he's a funny little duck. I don't think there's anything wrong with a Pokemon being a funny little duck, and if you've noticed, I'm putting off the topic of fighting him because, yeah, it's easy. He's a 2-foot tall duck with an onion. I win. I win pretty easily, actually. I have a personal problem with Doduo and Dodrio. Doduo's dex entry says it can run at 60 miles an hour, and Dodrio's dex entry says it can run at 40 miles an hour. Did it get slower when it evolved? And I don't know why. I am more scared of Doduo than Dodrio. If I get hit at 60 miles an hour, it's not good for me. And also, its legs are apparently well developed enough to leave 4-inch footprints. You gotta be pretty strong to do that. So I'm gonna say Doduo and Dodrio, they both have the advantage for sure. They're big birds with beaks and they're strong and they run fast and everything. So I'm gonna say they have the advantage. But I'm gonna say Doduo is scarier than Dodrio according to the dex, and that's weird, and I don't fully agree with it. The horn on Seel's head is apparently thick enough and hard enough to bash through icebergs, so I'm going to say that already off the bat it's got a chance. But other than that, it doesn't mention much other than its ability to swim really well. And it does mention that it doesn't have the greatest time moving on land, so I'm going to say I have the advantage, but if it does hit me, it's going to hurt. But it's not likely because it can't really walk, it sort of just pushes itself. And Dugong is way bigger, way heavier, but it doesn't mention its ability to attack whatsoever. I'm gonna say it's a fair fight though, because it's still got the horn, you can see the horn, it's still got the teeth, it's also got a tail that if it slaps me in the face with that, you ever been slapped by a fish? It hurts, it stings. So I'm gonna say fair fight for Dugong. I have the advantage against a Seel. When it came to Muck and Grimer, I didn't think I had a chance. And I was right, I don't really have a chance. Grimer, the best I can do is, according to Pokemon Moon, I can just dump it in bleach and hope that that gets rid of all its germs and bacteria and that it dies. Muck? Apparently Muck just kills plants and trees on contact and it smells so bad it can cause fainting. I don't reckon I would be able to last long against a Muck, so I'm going to say Grimer has the advantage, definitely, but there's a chance for me, maybe. And I'm going to say that Muck wins, because it's a giant pile of poison. That I think that's all the explanation that it really needs, to be honest. Like with most of these, I thought I had a chance, and I was not completely wrong. Turns out, Shellder is actually quite easy to beat. In fact, the Ultra Moon dex entry tells you how to beat it. Yank on its tongue, and then its body becomes exposed, which is described as tender. So I think Shellder's an easy win. It literally only has perfect defense, but it's got a way of getting through it, so it's not really that perfect. So I think Shellder, I beat a Shellder. Cloyster, however, has impenetrable defenses and can fire spikes while defending itself. So I think I just lose to a Cloyster, so Shellder I win, Cloyster I lose. It's unfortunate, but you know, that's how it goes. Now before I start this one specifically, I'm going to come up with a caveat that if they're a ghost type, I'm going to just say that I can hit them, okay? Because otherwise, every ghost type will be a loss. However, Ghastly is made of gas, which I cannot touch, and it brings that up. It says it's completely impalpable, which is a word I'd never used until just now, which means I can't hurt a Ghastly, and it can knock out an Indian elephant with its gas in 2 seconds. So I lose to Ghastly, and I think I lose to the other two, Haunter and Gengar. They haven't got very specific dex entries, but Haunter says if it licks you, you will grow weaker until you die, and it can slip through any obstacle. So I think Haunter's a loss as well. And Gengar, apparently, according to a dex entry I can't remember from which game, if one is chasing you, give up. So I'm going to say that I lose to all 3 of these, because it's just unfair, to be honest. I will give you 5 seconds to determine what the outcome of this fight will be. That's enough. It's a loss. Obviously it's a loss. It's a goddamn snake that's over 20 foot long and it's made of rocks. And it apparently only gets stronger as it ages. It becomes tougher
And also, to put icing on the cake, it burrows underground at 50 miles an hour. I don't want to get hit by a giant 50-mile-an-hour rock snake. It will kill me. So yeah, Onix is a loss. Who saw that coming? I know I did. At the start of this, I was pretty scared. You know, with the whole hypnosis thing. Turns out, Drowzee is pretty chill. So he'll put me to sleep, he'll eat my dreams, yeah sure, but when I wake up, oh, I will stomp him to death. Drowzee doesn't stand a chance. I beat Drowzee easy. Hypno is much scarier, but it's sort of in the air whether it can put you to sleep without the pendulum or not, but I'm gonna say that it needs the pendulum. It brings up the pendulum way too much for it to be unnecessary. So I'm gonna say, if I don't look at that pendulum, it ain't putting me to sleep. But you know what? Even if it does put me to sleep, I will wake up eventually, and if I land a hand on him and close my eyes, I will bash his skull in. I think Hypno still isn't that scary considering. So I'm going to say fair fight, but I'm going to say that it's not as scary as you think, and he's not that tall or heavy, so go crazy. Krabby and Kingler are crabs, which are scary. I don't like crabs. Well, I like crabs. I think I actually really like Krabby and Kingler. But Krabby is apparently quite strong. Its pincers are apparently quite strong. And I'm going to say that it's a fair fight, right? It's got strong weapons, but it's only a foot tall. So if I get hits in, it dies. If it gets hits in, I probably don't fare very well. Kingler, however, you'd think with the massive claw, it's a surefire win for it. But apparently the claw is almost a detriment to the Kingler. If it hits me, I'm dead. Straight up, I'm dead. But if I can dodge it, which is apparently a decent chance, I could beat up the 4-foot crab, but the problem is it's still 4 foot, so it has the advantage for sure, but my chances aren't completely zero. I'm not going to beat around the bush here. Voltorb and Electrode, the bomb balls, they win. It's unfortunate, but they're electric type. A massive problem. But even if they couldn't shock me to death, all their dex entries talk about is exploding. Like, they explode for no reason. Electrode explodes for fun. It says that it does that for fun. And, you know, I ain't living in an explosion. As much as I'm like, yeah, I could maybe live in an explosion. No. A Voltorb and Electrode will simply blow up and kill me. I will be dead. I stand no chance. This is not fair at all. They win. No contest. Thank you. Goodbye. I will not accept any comments telling me that I could not eat or crush every single one of these eggs/seeds. I do not care. It is done. No amount of psychic powers could stop me from doing that, and they don't even have that much apparently. All they can do is drive away Crabrawler, and I'm a bit bigger than that, so I think I beat and execute. Exeggutor, however, much taller, much heavier, has legs. I think Exeggutor, I'm going to give Exeggutor the win purely because I'm not going to be able to do much to a tree that's taller and heavier than me. I can't throw it. I probably won't be able to get through the bark because, I mean, I'm only human. So, Execute, it's a win. Exeggutor, it's a loss. Yay. Honestly, I feel bad for Cubone. I mean, it's probably the saddest, loneliest Pokemon. And I'm going to feel even worse when I smash his head in with my foot. Unfortunately, Cubone does not stand a chance. Its bone does almost nothing for it, and it's just sad, it's lonely, and it's small, and it's weak. Unfortunately for Cubone, and for my own sanity, Cubone doesn't stand a chance. Marowak stands a bit more of a chance, you know? If it hits me in the head with the bone, which it's apparently very good at throwing, I might be in trouble, you know? It doesn't take much to knock someone out with a bone. So I'm going to say, you know what, Marowak, small as it is, it's vicious, it's got a weapon. I'm going to call that a fair fight. So, Cubone, I beat Cubone. It's sad for everyone, including me. But Marowak, fair fight. It might knock me out, and it might bash my skull in, which would be revenge, I guess. So yeah, that's how that stands. Much like Machop, I thought I might have a chance with these ones, you know? I know they're fighting types, and they're, you know, decently tall, and probably very good at what they do, but I thought I might have a chance, you know? Maybe there's a weakness. No, Hitmonlee and Hitmonchan will decimate me. Hitmonlee can kick with incredible force, and it can turn the sole of its foot hard as diamond and stretch it almost any distance it wants. I don't stand a chance against Hitmonlee. I thought Hitmonchan, it doesn't stretch, so maybe my chances are better. Wrong. It punches so fast you can't see it, and if it even touches you, it will cause a burn. It's not even fire type. So yeah, Hitmonchan can also break through concrete, so it's a loss. I lose to both these Pokemon because of course I do. They're fighting types. So, Lickitung stands a chance. But so do I. Because Lickitung, while it is short, and it isn't too heavy, which is good for me, because I could, just punch it to death. Lickitung is, in possession of a tongue. And that tongue is apparently well over 6 foot long, so it has the reach advantage, I'd say. And I'm guessing, since it can control it so well, it's quite muscular and it's going to hurt. So I say, this is going to be more of an all-out brawl than I thought it was going to be. And apparently Lickitung doesn't stand too bad a chance, so I'm going to say fair fight. But if it does lick me once and I don't clean it off, it itches forever, so do I really win even if I win? Oh my god, it's coughing and wheezing. Poison types. How do you think this is gonna go? I lose! Yay! This is getting harder the later into the decks we get. I liked it when I was fighting bugs. This isn't fun. Coughing and wheezing beat me because they are poison types and they expel poisonous gases. That is obvious, but coughing apparently also has the added benefit of exploding, which is bad for me. Because like I said with Voltorb, I don't live explosions. I'm human. Those kill me. And wheezing, apparently, the more it mixes its gases, the more toxic it becomes. And so, I already didn't stand a chance, but it's making it even worse for me. So yeah, coughing and wheezing, they both win. Who knew? Oh boy, do I die to these creatures. Already, rhinos. I'm not gonna mess around with a rhino in real life. And then they went and made it worse. Because in Pokemon, anything could be, like anime levels of strong, and they just get away with it because they're Pokemon. Rhyhorn, the smaller one, he has bones 1,000 times harder than humans and can tackle through buildings. I die. Rhydon, one sweep of its tail destroys buildings, and it can live in lava. Lava. I'm not lava. I don't stand a chance. Rhyhorn and Rhydon obliterate me and leave nothing behind. Chansey has a reputation as a happy-go-lucky Pokemon, It's very kind, it's very compassionate, but despite all this, it's not going to stand much of a chance. There's not much I can do to give it a chance. It's bulky, sure, but it doesn't hurt. So, unfortunately for Chansey, this is a wash. I could kill a Chansey. It can run really fast, and it is quite bulky, so it might be a bit of an issue to kill it, but it ain't killing me back, so yeah, I beat a Chansey flat out, and as much as I don't want to do it, it won't be that hard. I thought maybe Tangela would have a chance, what with the vines and the whole, Bellsprout situation, but apparently they snap off quite easily and are at max ticklish. Now, I don't want to say that I can be tickled to death. You can tickle me, sure, but the only thing it's going to do for you is land you a solid punch to the face. So Tangela is a loss for Tangela. Unfortunately, I win because it's a small vine creature that I could just punch to death or rip apart if needs be. Unfortunate, but it is what it is. Now I need you to all be honest. How long do you reckon I would last in a fight against a 7-foot tall kangaroo that will kill me if I even attempt to harm its child? That's right, probably not long at all. It's bad for me. It also mentions that it uses Comet Punch, which is also bad for me. So despite it being, just a kangaroo with fists, it's also still 7 foot tall and insanely angry if you try to hurt its kid. So yeah, I lose against Kangaskhan, but I've come to terms with that. I pretty much knew it was coming anyway. So yeah, whoops. As I mentioned in a comment a while back, these fights take place on land because if they didn't, I would probably lose to every water Pokemon, and this is an example of that. On land, Horsea and Seadra don't stand as much of a chance as they would in the water. Horsea doesn't really stand much of a chance in either of them. All it does is run away if it sees a bigger opponent. So on land or in sea, I take out a Horsea pretty easily. But Seadra, in the sea, formidable opponent. It can create whirlpools that can suck in fishing boats, and it's got poison on its back. That screws me in the water, but on land, it doesn't have the whirlpool part. It's just got spines on its back, and with that, so long as I keep my attacks away from the spines, I've got a decent chance. So I'm going to say Seadra, fair fight. It's still dangerous, but it's a fair fight, I'd say. And yeah, Horsea is a loss for a Horsea, unfortunately.
I would say that for Goldeen, I have the advantage. You know, its size and weight mean I could probably just keep bashing it against the floor until it becomes a paint splatter. But it can apparently shatter through even the thickest glass with one ram of its horn. And, you know, I'm not made of glass, but glass can be a lot harder to shatter than people give it credit, so that would suck. It would suck bad. I'm not so lucky with Sea King, because it can apparently bore holes in boulders by spinning the horn on its head like a drill. Now, contrary to what some people I know might say, I'm not a fucking boulder, so my chances are dismal, but it is small enough and light enough that if I manage to stay away from the horn, I might have a chance. And I'm going to give myself that one, so I have the advantage over a Goldeen, and Sea King has the advantage over me, which I think's fair. This is going to be a difficult one to explain, so just bear with me. First off, Staryu. Not a single mention of its attacking capabilities, no water stuff, no psychic stuff, nothing. It does mention its incredible regenerative abilities that allow it to effortlessly regrow any torn limb, and that no number of injuries can bother Staryu. So, I'm going to have to say that this is a draw. Flat out, Staryu regenerates so fast that I can't do anything to it, and it's so small and weak that it couldn't kill me. So yeah, our first ever draw. Starmie also doesn't mention it being able to do anything other than glow and swim. I'm going to give it a chance based purely on the fact that it spins like a propeller to swim, and it is decently big and heavy, so maybe it could get me like that, but not likely. So in the end, Staryu was a draw, and I have the advantage over Starmie. This dex has done these two no favours. Okay, Mr. Mime is a weird one, and I'm not just talking about his "have you seen this man" stare. Physically, all it can do is slap the shit out of you, which sucks, but I don't see that stopping me from stomping his head in. However, as some of you may know, it can create invisible walls that are actually there. Upon reading the dex, I've learned that it doesn't just stop at walls. Any object it can make you believe is real becomes real. So basically, if I manage to not be fooled by his apparently wonderful pantomime skills, it's a win for sure. But if it manages to convince me that the double-barrel shotgun it's holding is real, it's game over for me. Because of this, I'm going to split it down the middle and say that this is a fair fight. Either I clean house or the weird man creature does. So, here's a question for you. What do you do against a praying mantis with scythes for arms that can move like a ninja, is faster than the human eye can track, and is capable of cutting through thick logs in one stroke? That's right. Nothing. Scyther's cool as shit, but you can't even pretend that it wouldn't kill your ass in seconds. Even if I had a weapon, it's so fast you can't see it. What am I supposed to do? So yeah, Scyther kills me. No arguments there. This is going to be a quick one. Jinx is a small, creepy woman with hair. That's all she is, and luckily for me, possesses no attributes other than the ability to make people schmoove without their consent. So despite some potential boogie time, I'd have no problem messing up a Jinx, absolutely not. It's even got hair to pull to keep things in my favour, and for anyone thinking that's a dirty move, this is life or death, fucker. There are no dirty moves. I kill Jinx, thank you, good night. I would lose against an Electabuzz, but it's not quite as clear-cut as I was expecting, so give me a minute and I'll explain. Electabuzz is another Pokemon that suffers from lack of info in its dex entries, which is good for me, but there's just enough here, there's just enough that I can give it the win. It mentions plenty about it eating electricity and getting struck by lightning, but not much about it using it to attack. Once or twice it mentions it punching and potentially using electricity in those punches for some extra buzz damage, but I think the real kicker here for me is that it constantly discharges electricity. We all know electricity can be dangerous and potentially fatal, but even though it doesn't mention how powerful its electricity is, with the right amount it could just paralyze me, cause muscle spasms, hell it could potentially stop my heart. It could then finish me off while I'm down, that's what I'm expecting it to do anyway. Oh, and also he's sort of based off a tiger ogre demon and has sharp teeth, so like bonus points. Yeah, Electabuzz wins, but he has my respect for not being as overpowered as I thought he was. Oh, you thought Scyther was bad? Pretty much every dex entry Magmar has tells you how you would die.
Let me list off the reasons I wouldn't be able to beat a Magmar. Its body and flames shimmer like the sun, so I can't actually look at it without blinding myself. It can heal by taking a dip into lava. You know, lava's not around, so maybe I've got a chance there. It sneezes fire, it doesn't calm down until it's burned its opponents to ash, and finally, it burns at 1200 degrees Celsius, which is 2200 degrees Fahrenheit, which is about over a sixth of the heat of the surface of the sun. So it would make my clothes melt off my body and sear into my skin, while touching it would simply burn me to death, and I'm not about that. So unsurprisingly, Magmar, to put it lightly, kicks the shit out of me. I didn't expect to handle a Pinsir very well, and I was right to assume so. This nearly 5-foot tall bug can pick up opponents that double its weight with its claws, and will then just shake you around and jab you with the thorns in its pincers until it tears you in half. I mean, even if it just rammed into me, it's still knocking my ass out, because that's apparently enough to split apart a large tree. And like, I'm not a tree, so that's good to know. Mega Pinsir, in case you were wondering, is just a more dangerous version of Pinsir, except it will find never-ending joy in flying me into the air at 30 miles an hour and tearing me to shreds. So surprising no one, Pinsir and its Mega will send my body to hell and my soul to heaven. What did I think was going to happen when I tried to fight a big-ass bull who is famous for being violent? Now, Tauros is a very simple-minded Pokemon. It's angry at all times, and nothing calms it down very much except taking its anger out on people, trees, and various other things that are minding their business. It also really only charges at people and Pokemon to attack, but honestly that's all it needs. I'm no Matador, so avoiding a Tauros before it gores me with its horns is unlikely. Any creature that will whip itself to pump itself up is not to be fucked with, and Tauros is no exception. A Tauros would trample and stab me to death, and would then dance on my corpse and continue to trample me. Magikarp is the easiest win I've been given so far, because literally all its dex entries talk about is it being weak, pathetic, and useless. All it does is splash as well, so there's that, but I'd be remiss if I didn't say that it could definitely hurt me. I mean, if we ignore the dex here and just look at its physical properties, it is a big ass fish, and getting slapped by a fish stings. It still doesn't stand a chance, but at least there's something there. Gyarados is an entirely different story. I could already tell that I was going to get fucked up, but like, goddamn. They really went all out on his entries, burning cities, fields, and mountains to the ground during even harsh storms, extremely violent and aggressive, only calming down once everything around it had been destroyed, and mention of it actually using the move Hyper Beam. Yeah, I don't think there's ever been a clearer loss for me. Oh, and also its Mega is the same, but angrier and faster. Shit. So Magikarp's a big win, and Gyarados chews me up, spits me out, and incinerates my remains. Lapras is such a sad fight for me, because I didn't realise that the reason the dex entries don't really talk about how good Lapras is at killing is because it talks about how sweet and kind it is instead, and how it rarely fights. It loves helping people, and used to be on the verge of extinction. However, just because it doesn't mention it shooting ice cold water or blasting freezing temperatures, doesn't mean that it isn't still an 8-foot tall, 200 kilogram dinosaur that can move on land and is slightly armoured. I think based purely off the physicality of a Lapras, I am in the shit. I'm gonna say I stand a chance though. A small chance, but a chance. Lapras is very sweet. If I take advantage of the kind-heartedness of this Pokemon, I might be able to deal some potential damage quickly. More than likely though, it will swing its head and break every single rib in my body and then crush me under its weight. And honestly, for attacking a Lapras, I deserve it. Before we get into the killing part of this short, I'd just like to clarify that Vaporeon, Jolteon, and Flareon are going to have their own short dedicated to them, as going through 4 Pokemon in 60 seconds is a hefty task. So, Eevee now, the other 3 in their own video. All good? Cool. Eevee is a very cute Pokemon. Small, light, and without any weapons or armor on its body. It's a done deal. I would smoosh an Eevee into goo. I wouldn't enjoy it, but that's just the way it is sometimes, you know. This fluffy dog-cat creature is not a threat to my health, and so that is a win for me. Let's just hope that the other 8 evolutions treat me nearly as well as Eevee did. First off, Vaporeon. None of the evolutions are particularly big, and Vaporeon is no exception. Since it's so small, it's going to have to rely on its ability to take or give pain. Now, it doesn't explain fully what it means when it says molecular composition closely resembles water, whether that means that when it's in water it can turn into water, or if it can just become water anywhere. My main problem, however, is that it can supposedly freely control water, and so with some clever tactics, it could absolutely just suffocate and or blind me and take me out. I'm going to say Vaporeon has the advantage.
Jolteon is far more clear-cut. It can shoot the sharp fur on its body towards me and stab me with them, covering me in needles pretty much, and as if that wasn't dangerous enough, the motherfucker shoots 10,000 volt lightning bolts. To finish me off, Jolteon wipes the floor with me, and much like its spiky brethren, Flareon would turn me into a pile of ashes with intense flamethrowers and the fact that its body burns at 1700 degrees Fahrenheit. So unlike what I'd hoped, the evolutions are currently giving me what I'd like to call a hard time. Vaporeon has the advantage, and Jolteon and Flareon kill me outright. Okay, Porygon is weird. Like, I cannot discern how this fight would go because of my lack of knowledge. So what we do know is that Porygon is made entirely out of computer code, which is obviously a fictional thing. That has yet to be done in the real world, and this obviously raises the question, what the hell does a Porygon feel like? Would it be like touching crystals, or stained glass, or is Porygon, God forbid, squishy and fleshy? I don't know the answers here, and to top it all off, it can survive any environment pretty much. It doesn't breathe and has no heartbeat, so I can't just, choke it to death. Unfortunately, it doesn't say that it hurts, or anything that would kill me. So I can't say that a Porygon would beat me, or that I would beat a Porygon. So what I have to say is, it's another draw. Congrats, Porygon. You make literally no sense. Lord, forgive me for my sins and all the bad shit I'm about to say about you. Omanyte is easy. I think my biggest problem is definitely going to be that shell for sure. The Dex describes it as hard, and that's annoying enough for me. However, the body is squishy, I assume, so all I gotta do is slam Omanyte against a rock or something till it cracks open and I can get to all that gooey goodness inside and murder it. Omastar, however, clearly is more powerful, and what can you expect from the Lord himself? Omastar is much scarier, with good control over its tentacles and razor-sharp fangs. If you get caught by an Omastar, it would fuck you up, and by that I mean it would kill you. But the thing is, Omastar is apparently slow and sluggish, because its shell has grown too large for it to move very well, and this is why scientists believe it went extinct. So if I don't get caught, I could feasibly bash it to death with something, but if it catches me, it's game over for sure, so I have to say it has the advantage here. Omanyte I kill, Omastar has the advantage over me. When it comes to this series, I don't think there's been a fairer fight than me versus a Ditto, and I'm telling you now, it's just because Ditto transforms into its opponent. And that's it, and it transforms into me, since I'm its opponent. And me versus me is a decidedly fair fight, as long as the Ditto is fighting back proper. So yeah, this is a fair fight. I assume that when it transforms it does not remain squishy. I hope so anyway, otherwise I might have a lot more death to look forward to than I'd like. But as it stands, this is a fair fight. And I'm sorry for making this one late, I straight up just skipped past it. I love Ditto though, Ditto's awesome. Yeah, fair fight for me and Ditto. Fair fight. Kabuto and Kabutops are personally my favourite fossils, and for what I believe to be good reasons, but let's see how well they stack up in a fight. First off, Kabuto. Despite having scary as fuck eyes and a tough shell, it apparently cannot flip itself back onto its feet if it falls onto its back. So my game plan is to flip Kabuto over where he will starve to death while drying out in the sun. I win, good game. Moving on to Kabutops. Well, it's odd for sure, and does look quite like a Scyther got a giant croissant stuck on its head, but that doesn't change the fact that he also has scythes for arms. Now we know it's a fast swimmer but on land, we have no info. What we do know is that it has a shell. Is the shell the brown parts of its body? Who knows? Certainly not me, so I gotta say that with the size and the armor, it's a done deal. I'm pretty sure this old ass Scyther would kill me. Kabuto I win, Kabutops I lose. Aerodactyl is terrifying because it's a dinosaur, and I gotta fight that fucker. Now it doesn't mention how fast a flyer Aerodactyl is, but even without speed in the air, I can't fly at all, so really what does it need speed for? Combine the power of flight with saw-like fangs and a ferocious temperament, you have a recipe for death, and that is what I imagine will happen to me. I mean, it can even shred steel-type Pokemon with its teeth, so even if I had fucking armor on, I would get mauled. Aerodactyl kills me for sure. And Mega Aerodactyl is angrier and covered in pointy stones, so fuck that. I don't stand a chance against the flying dinosaur with sharp-ass teeth. Go figure. I know what you're thinking. Snorlax is lazy as balls and doesn't move except to eat. How could you lose to him? Well, hear me out. Not only is he fucking massive in size, but he's just bulky. I can't imagine anything I do would even affect him. I mean, children bounce on its stomach, and it doesn't care at all. But eventually I just wear him down, right? Wrong.
it would simply pick me up and make the sweetest Attack on Titan cosplay by shoving me in his mouth and eating me. Well, even if I didn't die from getting swallowed, its stomach acid can dissolve any poison and also pretty much anything else. And apparently, when it wants to move, it can display, and I quote, awesome power. So yeah, the big beefy dude will either eat me or crush me, whichever he's feeling on that particular day. I don't stand a chance either way. Well, here's the first legendary I have to fight, and we're starting off strong with my favourite icy bird, Articuno. Now obviously I was expecting it to be like one Ice Beam, I'm done, but there isn't any mention of Ice Beams. It does, however, mention its ability to freely control ice, which is cool, but it doesn't tell us what that means, so I was struggling to decide whether that would kill me or not. But fear thee not, I die for sure, just not in the way I expected. Articuno can create blizzards, and if it just flies above me where I can't reach, and summons a blizzard on me, I will eventually die to hypothermia. And if needs be, it has talons to finish me off, so yeah, I still lose here. Articuno will turn me into a sick-ass statue and then promptly rip me apart. Score 1 for the legends. Okay, hold the fucking phone. Literally, the very first dex entry for Zapdos in Pokemon Red says that it is said to appear from the clouds while dropping enormous lightning bolts. And then in Black and White, it says it freely controls lightning bolts. What the actual fuck were they thinking when they wrote these? How was I supposed to beat that in a fight? All the other dex entries also talk about it dropping fat lightning bolts and causing thunderstorms, so it's pretty obvious which direction this is going. It doesn't even need to get near me because it can fly, and in case the actual lightning doesn't work for some reason, it has a sharp beak and big ass talons. Zapdos is quite a calm name for a Pokemon that should be called Explode Your Fucking Body with Lightning Dose. I lose. Fair play. Now Moltres has far fewer dex entries than Zapdos that talk about its abilities, which I was thinking, okay, so long as it doesn't mention it controlling fire, we should have a good chance maybe. It mentions it controlling fire. Pair that with the talons and the beak and the fact that it's able to fly and it's literally just on fire, you got a loss for me again. To be fair, in Japan Moltres is just called Fire, so this makes sense. The rubber chicken of death would probably overcook me and ruin the meal of whatever decided to eat me afterward. Dratini is described as weak and that its skin is soft. Just after it sheds anyway. So I think my chances are higher than Dratini's chances and that I have the advantage. But I think the reason it isn't an outright win for me is because it's still a big ass water snake at this point. So it isn't completely dead in the water, but come on, it's described as weak in the dex. Onto Dragonair, and why does the dex insist on mentioning it being able to fly? Like, what the shit? It can control the weather, which may not be too much of a problem depending on what it does, but I think that its length is going to be a problem because it could just wrap around me and kill me. But the problem is, it weighs 16 kilograms, which is nothing. I could just swing it above my head and slam it on the floor like Hulk versus Loki, so I have the advantage here. But it's not dead in the water again. And down goes my confidence because Dragonite is said to be as intelligent as a human and is capable of flying around the globe in 16 hours, which clocks in at about 1550 miles an hour. Also, when it gets mad, it smashes everything to shittereens. I am DEAD dead. Mewtwo isn't even a question. It's a cruel-hearted, vicious Pokemon who thinks only of beating the shit out of you because it was tortured relentlessly at the beginning of its life. It's described as a combination of overwhelming power and a savage heart, and while it doesn't mention what its overwhelming power is, it would be ridiculous to assume it was anything less than murderous. Mewtwo is the closest a Pokemon has gotten to being a serial killer, and I would be just another one of its victims. And also both of its megas would turn me into a fine goo, either with its hands or with its mind. And with Mew, its victory is given in the form of its Crystal Dex entry, which spells it out for us. To quote the entry directly, because it can learn any move, that's it. It can learn any move. Hypnosis, Ice Beam, Flamethrower, Thunderbolt, Shadow Ball, Hyper Beam. There are 1,000 different ways that a Mew could kill me, and that is all that matters here. Both of these Pokemon would kill me, and they would barely have to exert any effort to do it.